Hi, my name is Donna and this is my lovebird Sprinkles. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I make chop for my birds. Alright, so chop is basically chopped up food. So you want to have a base for your chop. A base would be your grains, which could include rice. You got to cook the rice. And there's lots of different rice that you can choose from, like wild rice, brown rice. Just don't use the white rice. I find that less nutritional. You can use sweet potatoes, which are cooked and mashed up really nice and soft. And squash, you can use that too. My birds love squash. I usually do that in the winter time because it's more readily available. And then you can use your beans. Like use a bean mix. It's called a soup mix. You can you have to soak it the night before though. Just follow the instructions and then cook it the next day. And you can use different beans or just one bean, whatever you like. They like mung beans, lentils, peas, yeah, all that. So that's what I start my base. Oh, bye Sprinkles. That's what I start my base with. And then I go with all my vegetables. So for your vegetables, there's a lot of vegetables that you can use for your chop. Just look up what's safe and what's not safe. I'll probably put a list of unsafe vegetables down below. My description there's so many to go through that are healthy for your birds. So to make the chop, you can use a chopper or a food processor, or you can just use a knife and cut it up yourself. That's a little bit more time consuming, but it works. It'll do the job. You don't have to go out and get a chopper or a food processor. I have a food processor, and some of the food I do put in there. Some of it I just use the chopper, and some of it I shred. But in this video I didn't shred anything. I just chopped a lot. And some of the foods I like to chop by hand, because if you put it in the chopper, it just gets too wet and it turns into mush. But I'll be showing you which ones that I cut up myself and which ones I put into the chopper. I have chosen rice, has my grains, it's sprouted tricolor blend, and I cook the rice according to the instructions on the back of the package. And this is what it looks like once it's all cooked. I'm using red lentils today for my beans. My birds seem to really like it, and I soak it the night before and cook it the next day. I cook it according to the directions on the back of the package. Once it's cooked, I drain it and let it cool down. My first vegetable that is going into my chop mix is Brussels sprouts. I use 10 of them, and it's best to wash all of your fruits. Wash them really well, and then pat dry them so they're not wet and soggy. Make sure they're clean and dry before you chop them up. I put the Brussels sprouts in my chopper and chop them up until they're really fine. I always use the pulse button just so I can control how much chopping there is. And my birds love Brussels sprouts. I put them in almost all my chop. So this is what it looks like. It comes out really nice and fine and crumbly. Next, I use 6 carrots. I decided to put them in the chopper, not the shredder. So when I put them in the chopper, I have to cut the carrots up, in small pieces so that they'll fit into the chopper and chop up really nice. I like to make little small pieces with the carrots. My birds really love carrots, so I put carrots in all of my chop. And this is what it looks like mixed up with the Brussels sprouts. So each time I add an item, I mix it all up. It looks delicious already. Now for my dark leafy green, I'm going to be using kale. So I decided to take a big bunch of kale and, separate the leaves. And I'm going to be using 8 leaves. So I had to break them in small pieces in order to fit them into the chopper. And then I pulsed it until I got the nice consistency that I wanted. And then I put it into the rest of the chop that's already been made, and I stir it all up. Then I'm going to add some broccoli. I'm using 4 broccoli heads. I put them in the chopper and chop them up fine. The birds really love broccoli, so I actually add broccoli to every chop that I make. Then I put the broccoli inside the chop. I'm going to give it a good stir, and the chop is looking really good. And sometimes there's big chunks in there that didn't get chopped up in the chopper, so I just take them back out and put them back in the chopper. I'm going to be adding some celery. I'm going to be adding 4 celery sticks, like the whole stick. But what I do first is I de-string them. See this string? There's string on celery, and I take them off. Even though I'm going to chop them up small, I still like to take the string off so it doesn't get caught around their feet or they choke on it. And what I do is I don't put them in the chopper. I use my knife, because I find if I put them in the chopper, it turns into mush, because celery is really wet. If you chop it up small, it's just all mushy, and it makes the chop, just too wet, and the birds won't eat it. So I do use the knife to cut up my celery. I cut it up as small as I can, but sometimes the birds like holding it in their feet, so I cut them up, fairly small, but not really tiny like they would be in the chopper. But the birds love celery, and they will certainly eat that. And now I'm going to mix the celery into the chop. Every time I add a food item, it looks better and better and better. Now this is zucchini, and this is another vegetable that I chop by knife, because I find if I put it in the chopper, it just turns into mush. And my birds love zucchini, so I like to add it to my chop. So I do take the skin off, and then I just cut it up, lengthwise twice, and then cut it up into small squares. Now I'm going to add the zucchini to the chop, and it's getting yummier and yummier. And birds love bell peppers. Make sure you always have some kind of orange fruit or red fruit in your chop. You want to have lots of different colors. Today I chose an orange bell pepper and a red bell pepper. And what I do is I cut off both ends where the, see those bumps where they go in? I just cut it just beyond that. And then you can just, you see, poke out that little, whatever you call that handle thing. And you just poke it out. And then you leave the rest so you can chop it up. Then I do the same for the bottom. And then I just cut one cut in the side, and then you can just cut around, cut all the guts out. Just go right around in a circle, getting all the middle, like the membrane out of there. And then you can just lay it down flat, cut it into 2 pieces, and start cutting away. I like to cut some strips. I cut a lot of strips. I kind of put them in a big long row, and then I start dicing them. I start cutting them into little squares, and that way they, works really well for the chop, and the birds can hold them in their feet if they want to. And I don't put this in the chopper, it'll just turn to mush. It'll just be all mushy and watery. So I like to do this by hand, and it works out great for me. And then I get the 2 parts that I cut off, the top and the bottom, and I just cut out the middle, and then I just cut the rest of the outside of the pepper and just add it to the chop. And I chopped up the red bell pepper as well, and you can use the seeds. So you can just scrape the seeds off and put them in with your chop. I should have just scraped these off inside the chop container where the chop was, but I just decided to scrape them off on top of the bell pepper here and add them to the chop. So now I just mix everything together, stir it all together, and look how beautiful the chop is looking now. Now I add my lentils. They have cooled down since I've been making the chop. I always add the cooked vegetables or grains after I've made all the chop, because you don't want to be mixing hot stuff with cold stuff. So make sure it's cool before you add it. And I'm just going to stir them up and mix it all in. Now I'm going to add the rice, as that has cooled down as well, and it's looking good. And I'm going to add 1/3 cup of sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are very healthy and birds love them. And I'm going to add 1/3 cup of chia seeds. Chia seeds are very healthy and birds love them as well. Then last and final, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of hemp hearts. Birds love them as well. Now I'm just going to mix it all together. I stir and stir and stir until everything's mixed up really, really well. It's got a lot of food in there. The pot's pretty deep. And I just want to make sure, especially all the seeds get distributed throughout the chop. I store my chop into freezer bags. What I do is I put 3 cups of the chop into each bag. Because I have a lot of birds, I have like 29 birds. Most of them are small, but they all eat a lot of chop. So I put 3 cups into each freezer bag. Now, if you don't have as many birds as I do, you obviously don't need to put 3 cups into each bag. You can put 1 cup or half a cup or quarter cup. Or you can use another way to store them, like other storage containers to store your chop. It doesn't have to be, 3 cups like I do. And what I do is when they're all in the bags, I kind of flatten it out. I don't squash it too much because I don't want to squash all the vegetables. But I just kind of flatten it out so they're easy to store. And I squeeze all the air out of them. Make sure there's no air in the freezer bag, otherwise the food will get freezer burn. So I double check, make sure they're really, really flat and there's no air inside the bag. And this is what they look like. They're all ready to go into the freezer. They're all nice and flat. I store some of the bags in my upstairs freezer. There's not a lot of room in my freezer. It's very, very small. So some of them will go upstairs because it's easier for me, and some of them will go downstairs into my freezer downstairs. I have 2 freezers. And then once they're all frozen, what I do is each night I just take one of the bags out. It's all frozen, nice and hard, and then I put it right in the fridge where it can thaw out. And then in the morning it's all thawed out, it's ready to go. I feed it to my birds. Let's go give it to my birds and see if they like it. So when I give the chop to my smaller birds, I put romaine lettuce or other types of dark leafy greens in the chop because they really love the greens, and they come right over. They start eating the greens first, of course, and then they eat the chop. Usually the chop is gone like within an hour with all my little birds, and just because I have the camera here and the ring light, they're a little bit shy. Some of them come and check it out, but as soon as I took my camera away, they all came and ate. This is Galaxy, my Sierra parakeet. He's not shy at all. He really likes it. This is one of my canaries. This is Song. Her feathers sticking out because she's pulling them out because she wants to make a nest. This is one of my rosy forks. This is Raspberry. Yeah, this is Raspberry. All my little birds are great eaters and they really love the chop. And this is one of my Linnies. This is Nugget. He's a senior bird and his feathers are a little bit ruffled up because his partner, Pickles, is an overpreener, so she preens his flight feathers and his tail, and he always looks like this. And but he's fine, he gets along. And that was my Java Finch, Nightwing. This is Starfire, my turquoisine. He was really shy. And here's my budgie Sterling. He likes Nugget, he always hangs out with him. And oh, there comes Splash, my other budgie. That's these two are clutch mates. My budgies love the chop, by the way. They really, really love it. If you have budgies, I'm sure yours will eat it. And there's Sky. There's Jack on the right. Jack is the blue one. Sky's beside him right there. See a little butt in the air. Oh, and here's Kingsley. This is my bigger birds. This is Kingsley, my king parrot. Marvels, my mustache parakeet, loves the chop. She's a really good eater. She eats everything. And this is Electra, my Senegal. So the chop was a hit. So if your bird does not eat chop, or you haven't tried the chop yet, what I do is I give it to them first thing in the morning because birds are hungry in the morning. But take away their food if you give them pellets or any seeds. Take away that food before they go to bed. So when they wake up, they don't go right to the pellet or the seed dish, right? You want to limit the seeds because they're really fatty. And then you can entice your bird to eat. You can give them something. Oh, you just pooped on my hand. That's okay, I'm used to it. Anyways, you can put something of their favorite food on top of the chop. Like you can sprinkle some spray millet or little pieces of almond, not too much because they'll just eat the almond and get full. Or whatever they like, whatever they like to eat, you put that on top and it'll entice them to eat it. And also what I do for fruit rise, you want to limit the fruit because that has sugar in it. Give it like 2 or 3 times a week. I put like blueberries, strawberries, all the berries, they're really healthy for them. Even small pieces of apple or grape, but they're really high in sugar. You just got to be careful and know, which ones are better for them than others. You can put that on top of their chop or just mix it in their chop, because I don't freeze fruit. I don't put fruit in the chop because it gets very watery and it makes the chop all messy and, wet, and they won't eat it. So I put the fresh fruit on top of the chop 2 or 3 times a week, and I find it works for me. So hopefully that'll work for you. Now if your bird loves blueberries, put a couple of blueberries on there. They might eat the blueberries first and then go for the chop. That's what my birds do. If they like the fruit, they'll eat that, or you can just mix it in. You can, if they like apple, really kind of chop it up really small and stir it, within, and they'll pick it out and get a taste of the other stuff and eat that too. So I do have a video on how to get your bird to eat vegetables. I'll put it down below in the description. You can go check it out. I have several ways that your bird can, possibly enjoy eating vegetables. So make sure to go check out all my links down below. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. And let me know if your bird eats chop. I'm curious to know. Or if you haven't fed chop and never knew what it was. Just any questions you have, put it down below. And you can answer other questions as well. Sometimes I can't answer them all. And so hopefully you enjoyed my video. And hopefully you like my chop recipe today. Try that with your birds and see what happens. I find my birds really liked this chop this time. I think they like the celery in there. And the bell peppers, they really like those as well. So they eat actually the whole chop this time. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.